the crab monster charges sideways, surprising the group. One of them shouts to move back as it lunges. As they try to retreat, the crab suddenly shifts direction mid-attack, showing high mobility. The protagonist analyzes the creature's skill and concludes it uses an active ability for constant directional shifts, making it unpredictable. The group rushes across a wooden dock, retreating in panic from the approaching monster. The protagonist gets excited, sensing his opportunity to shine with a skill that increases effectiveness when allies are injured. He calls out, requesting someone to land just one physical hit so he can act. Another member, confused, wonders why he's making demands when he's not even a melee fighter. The blonde man explains his physical attacks aren't strong and might even heal the crab due to a passive debuff, making things worse. The frontline fighters launch arrows and magic attacks together in a synchronized strike against the monster. Their coordinated damage draws the monster's attention, allowing the tank to hold its aggro and prevent it from chasing the rest. The protagonist observes that while the tank is doing their job, the monster isn't slowing down at all. One of the attackers comments that they're expending too many skills just to maintain the monster's focus, without actually hurting it. The blonde swordsman steps forward with a smile, asking if it's his turn to act. He's reminded to get a buff first, prompting him to casually ask for one from the support girl. The support girl cheerfully prepares a loving buff, filled with hearts and playful energy. Watching them, the main character realizes they're holding back instead of going all out. Determined, he concludes that taking the enemy down in one powerful strike is the better strategy. A powerful golden magic circle activates beneath the team, engulfing them in blazing energy. The main character reacts in shock, unsure what skill just triggered such intense power. System windows appear, identifying the skill as Radiant Power S, which boosts allies and consumes 1000 mana. The effect grows stronger if the user has an S rank or higher buff type trait, amplifying its duration and power. Realizing what just happened, the protagonist is stunned to discover an S rank buff was used without him noticing. A cheerful waiter excitedly suggests the protagonist consider live streaming, thinking it would suit him well. The protagonist is caught off guard by the unexpected suggestion and awkwardly questions it. The waiter continues, saying streaming is trendy now, especially on UserTube, where many showcase their daily lives. The protagonist, flustered, quickly denies having interest in that kind of thing. The waiter insists, explaining that becoming a famous streamer can boost popularity fast, impressing friends and even family, leaving the protagonist stunned. The protagonist, amazed, reflects on how the SP he farmed for subtraits is finally paying off in a real battle. He realizes that combining certain subtraits, like charge control and recovery, creates a powerful synergy when used together. Energized and thrilled by the result, he excitedly declares how amazing the power feels. The female supporter is left stunned, impressed by how buffed and strong he suddenly looks. Another teammate, sword in hand and surrounded by golden energy, confidently announces it's time to finish things. The protagonist smirks confidently, signaling he's about to unleash his plan. He asks Yoo-hyun to hold back on using his sword techniques temporarily. Knowing his own power is limited, he still charges forward to land the first major blow. As the monster roars in pain, the protagonist's fire attack burns through, setting up the final strike for his teammate. The protagonist grins as flames swirl around him, confident in the outcome of his strategy. He clenches his fist, triggering his next move amid a backdrop of fireworks. With a calm voice, he utters "explosion," and the scene erupts into a powerful blast of fire and light. A system message confirms the skill used, detonating embers to inflict massive damage, especially if a burn effect is already in place. A pair of hunters catch a strange burning smell in the air and grow uneasy as smoke rises in the distance. They realize someone roasted the giant crab monster alive, completely ignoring proper field dissection protocols. The charred body of the crab lies still while a group of shocked onlookers gathers around the steaming crater. The protagonist casually holds a toothpick, acting indifferent as his companion silently judges him. With dramatic flair, the knight raises his sword, declaring it's time to use his regeneration tactic. The crab monster suddenly springs back to life, flailing its limbs in a desperate counterattack. The knight charges forward and finishes it off with a clean, final strike, leaving the crowd stunned. The monster collapses completely, and its glowing core drops, confirming the kill and completing the mission. A system message announces the successful absorption of the field boss's traits. The knight poses confidently as his teammates cheer him on, while one girl quietly mutters how pathetic the whole act was. Nearby, the protagonist receives a notification confirming that the boss trait has been successfully copied and saved. The group stares in shock as the protagonist finishes casting his spell, his confident smile hinting he's planned everything. He raises his hand, signaling the activation of his skill, and the area begins to glow with powerful energy. With a single word explosion, a massive blast erupts, engulfing the enemy in flames and shockwaves. A system notification confirms the skill explosion was triggered, dealing enhanced damage within a 20 m radius due to a trait effect. The knight tries to calm everyone down, telling them not to get too worked up over the situation. Yeonju, standing confidently, smiles at being acknowledged and supported by her teammates. She thinks to herself that since she carried the team, she deserves the best reward, especially for her intimidation performance. The others readily agree, declaring they don't mind giving their share to Yeonju, with some even admitting they did very little anyway. Everyone turns toward Yeonju, casually offering her their full shares, impressed by her contribution and silently acknowledging her leadership. The team stands before the massive corpse of the defeated pink sea creature, the aftermath of their raid still steaming in the cold night air. As they approach cautiously, one of the members wipes sweat from his brow, while others look on in silent disappointment. The raid leader informs everyone that no boss item dropped from this Garorim Bay boss, prompting the team to move to the next raid location. Elsewhere, a confident man in a black suit and sunglasses walks away from the group with pride, his team following behind in admiration. Under the glowing violet streaks in the sky, the girl silently observes the aftermath, her teammates collapsed behind her. With a cold and unreadable expression, she steps forward, her presence dark and intense. In a sudden shift, another figure unleashes a powerful flame attack in a green forest, signaling a fierce new confrontation. The fire attack lands, engulfing the werewolf in flames as it lets out a desperate roar before collapsing. A notification confirms the daily quest is complete and 300 SP has been awarded. The protagonist collapses on the grass, exhausted but satisfied with the result. He wonders how long it will take to get the sample skill to level 3, realizing his progress is still slow. Despite stacking good resistance traits, he admits the issue is that he still can't actually use the copied abilities. The protagonist checks the status window, confirming sample is still at level 2 with limited SP attempts available. He realizes that without more SP, his skill is practically unusable despite having copied traits. Seeing his current SP total at 4,000, he concludes the only solution is to reach sample level 3. Frustrated, he throws a tantrum, yelling that farming SP through daily quests is painfully slow. After a moment of silence, he looks up with a hopeful smile, wishing some kind admin would just hand him a decent quest. Lying in the grass, he mutters to himself in disappointment, questioning what he's even doing anymore. The protagonist lies in the grass, reflecting on how unproductive his recent efforts have been. Suddenly, a vibrant alert notification appears in the sky, catching his attention with its glowing effects. Excited, He sees a system message confirming the arrival of a new tutorial quest with a reward of 4,000 SP and trait activation. He reads the reward amount aloud and stares at the quest screen, visibly shocked by the high requirement. A sense of dread takes over as he realizes how demanding this main quest might be. Meanwhile, across the city, civilians on rooftops look up in confusion as strange phenomena unfold above them. People in the city look up in awe as glowing pillars of light descend between buildings, marking the arrival of something otherworldly. A system alert announces the emergence of an F-rank special field called Sky Island Kinal, restricted to levels 139. The protagonist sits beneath the floating island, as a main quest appears tasking him with clearing the F-rank special field for major rewards. Additional alerts explain that special fields are dangerous monster zones and that their continued appearance is rapidly transforming the planet. Gigantic, dark-feathered monsters descend from the sky and swarm the city below, signaling the beginning of chaos. A system alert declares a critical mission: clear the special field to ensure the survival of Earth and humanity. A massive F-rank special field, Sky Island Kinal, appears over Seoul and Gyeonggi. Pillars of light serve as entry portals. User Association enforces emergency control. All flights at Incheon and Gimpo are suspended. Residents complain about lack of sunlight caused by the field's presence. D-rank user Kim Minjo urges faster portal approval, noting it's safe for levels 139. Meanwhile, special fields appear worldwide, prompting global coordination. Japan's special field forms overnight. A landmass half the size of South Korea appears near Tokyo. A news alert covers Japan's field situation, reporting military deployment orders. A boy jokes that Japan doesn't have to worry about sunlight, but his friend calls him out for missing the bigger threat. A man watches grim footage of level 70 monsters attacking Tokyo, causing mass panic and evacuation. Realizing the entry level is 41 to 70, a group of onlookers goes silent, fearing the crisis is beyond control. The group pauses at a crosswalk, and the signal changes, allowing them to proceed. Observing the city skyline, one remarks that special fields aren't beneficial, given the chaos seen globally. A government representative assures the public that the User Association is preparing for field raids with full support. Another official adds that they plan to offer bounties once enough information on Sky Island Kinal is gathered. The protagonist quietly observes the situation, deep in thought, muttering a contemplative "hmm." The protagonist stands before the user shop, muttering how chaotic things have gotten. Sitting inside, he wonders if he can request his SP in advance, clearly eager to make purchases. He reviews several upgrade options: passive income generation, trade enhancement, and skill efficiency, all costing thousands of SP. Realizing he'll have enough SP soon, he becomes motivated to complete the main quest and maximize his traits. The protagonist clenches his fist with determination, vowing to complete the mission and boost all his traits. A server presents a delivery, and he prepares to receive the high-value item he ordered. Opening the box, he's shocked to see it's the 70 million won item, a set of cursed accessories. The cursed mana ring increases mana by 100 but decreases strength by 1. The cursed mana bracelet boosts mana by 100 but lowers agility by 1, while the full set grants plus 200 mana and plus 2 stamina. A Chibai character confirms he's indeed chosen an item set purely for its magical stats despite its drawbacks. The protagonist examines the cursed item box, noting that the mana boost might be worth the drawbacks. He contemplates how the accessories could make up for his combat weaknesses through sheer magical capacity. Realizing he lacks defensive gear, he reconsiders whether he should look into armor instead. Curious, he asks the shopkeeper about the price of the cheapest cursed armor set. She responds cheerfully that it's 100 million won, shocking him. Faced with the steep cost, he sighs and settles for just the accessories instead. The protagonist leaves the shop, carrying the accessories, thinking buying armor would have been too costly. The shopkeeper thanks him politely as he walks out. Outside, a group of users gathers near the glowing pillars, unsure if this is the dungeon entrance. Observing them, the protagonist notes that alarm-type relics are unreliable and prepares to enter Sky Island Kimmel alone. The shop attendant happily thanks the protagonist for his purchase, while he wonders if 70 million won really got him the best deal. Before entering the field, he checks the user community posts for tips and reviews. Some posts mention how weak the starting area is or that high-level users just cleared it easily and left. He reasons that since the field is beginner level, the criticism probably comes from people who were overprepared. Confidently, he steps toward the glowing entrance, convinced it can't be that bad. The protagonist descends into the special field, surprised by the sudden drop. As he falls, a breathtaking view of lush mountains and floating islands stretches out below him. Landing safely, he's stunned by how beautiful the area looks and calls it cool. He notes there aren't any monsters in sight and even jokes that it feels like a place you'd want to live in. The protagonist hears loud screams and turns around, alert. He spots a giant bird flying overhead with a man clutched in its talons, crying for help. As the bird soars higher, the man panics and continues begging for someone to save him. The bird climbs even further into the sky, carrying the helpless man toward an unknown fate. The protagonist watches silently as a tense atmosphere builds, realizing the danger. Multiple large bird monsters fly toward him from different directions, surrounding the area. He quickly prepares to defend himself, deciding to rely solely on his fireball skill for survival. With flames igniting in his hands, he warns the approaching monsters that if they get any closer, he'll turn them into roasted birds. The protagonist is startled as a sudden flurry of winged beasts dive toward the ground, ignoring him entirely. Confused, he watches the flock change direction and wonders where they're heading. He notices a heavily armored warrior using a shield to protect another fighter and realizes those people are the new target. A swarm of aggressive bird monsters descends upon the defending group, initiating a fierce aerial attack. A knight raises his shield to block the incoming aerial assault while a swordswoman prepares to strike behind him. A powerful white feathered beast lunges toward the barrier, its force creating a visible shockwave. The impact slams hard into the knight's shield, but he holds his ground with the swordswoman close behind. Without hesitation, the woman unleashes her fiery skill Firestorm, ready to turn the tide of battle. The flaming skill engulfs the aerial beast, ripping through its body with overwhelming force as the knight deflects the final blow. Watching from below, the protagonist is stunned by the sheer power of the flame user, silently acknowledging her terrifying strength. The fire mage wipes sweat from her brow, surprised at how easily the enemies were dealt with despite expecting a tougher fight. Her armored teammate reminds her to stay vigilant and avoid another mishap like before. The protagonist reflects on his limited combat options, wondering if he should also learn the flame skill. He walks past the slime creature, lost in thought about his current capabilities. Meanwhile, the fire mage questions why the injured person from earlier wasn't hurt more severely, sensing something unusual. The fire mage grows suspicious, realizing that the earlier injured man should have been more hurt, suggesting a lie. Suddenly, the protagonist panics as green slimes lunge toward him, and he shouts in distress. He stands stunned, speechless, overwhelmed by the situation. The rest of the team looks on silently, trying to make sense of his reaction as he awkwardly faces them with slimes clinging to his leg. The armored man chuckles, amused by the unexpected scene, while the fire mage teases that he seems quite occupied. The protagonist forces a smile while trying to hide his frustration, but internally he's screaming in despair over the ridiculous situation. One of the slimes bounces joyfully, completely unaware of the annoyance it's causing him. A small green slime creature cries uncontrollably, trembling with fear and tears streaming down its cheeks. The armored man gently holds the trembling slime, and the protagonist thanks him sincerely for helping. The protagonist reflects on how he never expected a slime to be the source of all this chaos, feeling slightly amused. The female warrior, standing beside her teammate, criticizes how things turned ridiculous the moment someone stepped away from the party. The female warrior cheerfully smiles and seems completely relaxed, causing the protagonist to question her confidence. As the healer enthusiastically calls out to him, the protagonist turns around in visible discomfort, recognizing her energy from before. She latches onto him, beaming with excitement, while he awkwardly notes he only intended to follow her quietly, not get dragged in again. Another party member comments that they might as well officially team up at this point, given the situation. Overwhelmed by her affectionate enthusiasm and declarations of support, the protagonist sighs in resignation, unable to protest further. The protagonist leans his head against hers, smiling gently and thinking about copying the healing skills again, as he did last time. The healer responds playfully, suggesting a deal if he wants her help again, hinting at more interaction to come. As one of the party members steps away briefly, the group continues forward and spots a patch of bouncing green slimes on the grassy field. The protagonist hesitates, confused about the slime's purpose, wondering if this is really the spot to copy a healing skill. He nervously stammers, unsure how to begin copying skills from creatures that don't seem threatening or useful. Eventually, he realizes this is an unusual opportunity despite appearances. This field might hold something valuable that competitors are already aware of. A massive creature with rocky limbs suddenly appears, its heavy steps shaking the ground as it lands with force. The group reacts instantly, with one member raising a shield to defend as the creature descends from above. The monster, a stone-armored beast with wings, hurtles downward, aiming directly at the party, prompting them to brace for impact together. A massive stone attack crashes down, but is barely stopped by a defensive shield, sending shockwaves through the ground. The protagonist analyzes the situation, realizing the monster is using its brain to strategically attack their defenses. Multiple winged beasts begin to gather, forming a wave of enemies approaching fast with threatening momentum. The protagonist braces himself, pushing through the impact of the shockwave with gritted teeth, preparing for the next clash. The protagonist dashes forward with determination as the healer stands firm behind the shield, ready to assist. A barrage of coordinated flame spells is launched, starting with Fire Wall to block the enemy advance. Next comes Fire Rain, unleashing a fiery storm that scorches everything in its path with intense heat. Finally, a blazing Fire Spear is hurled with precision, targeting the enemy's core with destructive force. The mage unleashes a fierce volley of fire spells, burning through the enemies and clearing the battlefield with blazing precision. She confidently announces the area is now secure, wiping sweat from her brow with a smile of relief. The group regathers, acknowledging their progress and planning to move ahead since there are no more threats nearby. Impressed, the protagonist wonders if all high-level users possess such overwhelming power, contemplating how far he still needs to grow. The mage responds cheerfully, confirming her willingness to cooperate without hesitation. The protagonist curiously inquires about her powerful spells, prompting her to reveal that most high-level users purchase magic using real money. As the group walks through the scenic landscape, the protagonist reflects on how monetary investment shapes strength in this world. Suddenly, a massive crocodile-like beast erupts from the water, jaws wide open in a surprise attack. Reacting instantly, the team braces for combat, preparing to counter the unexpected threat with coordinated force. The protagonist casts a fireball spell, launching a powerful flame straight at the attacking beast. His teammates watch in surprise as the spell hits its mark, clearly more effective than expected. They begin analyzing the situation, noting that normally such an attack wouldn't do much against a creature of that size. The protagonist himself is confused, wondering how a simple fireball could cause that much damage. His teammates, both skeptical and impressed, question whether he secretly bought enhancements, while the mage comments that his power seems strangely average yet effective. The protagonist reflects on the combat advantages of skill diversity, realizing that mastering a wide range of abilities boosts survival and efficiency. A system notification confirms the unlocking of comprehensive skill analysis, allowing him to better understand enemy stats and predict movement types. He deduces that offensive and defensive skills are essential for leveling up, and the healer casually mentions she has quite a few skills already. Another teammate warns about the danger of revealing too much, especially since information is power in their world. As tension rises, another group of players arrives, and their cautious posture suggests they're assessing the protagonist. The protagonist calculates that reaching level 30 will require continuously copying and using effective skills from others. Nearby, a scared slime cries as it narrowly avoids being sliced by sharp weapons during a chaotic scene with multiple fighters engaging in combat. Two players cautiously advance, slaying slimes while wondering how long they need to farm in this area to progress. One of them comments on the difficulty of maintaining defense and offensive awareness simultaneously, chiding his teammate for being too distracted. The other, exasperated, claims he's paying attention but admits the endless grinding is wearing him down, and their user group's morale is rapidly fading. A knight launches a slime monster into the air with a kick, while another teammate praises their combo attack. A system alert notifies that a hidden subquest has been triggered, Clear Sky Island without any user deaths. The team is engaged in battle across the field, and one member urges the others to finish quickly so he doesn't get ambushed during his turn. A message reveals, "The Lord of Sky Island awakens," followed by the appearance of a red-eyed armored boss emerging ominously. Two rookie adventurers look confused as they notice something strange happening nearby and wonder what it could be. A radiant, angelic figure descends from the sky, catching everyone's attention. One of the party members asks what it is, confused by the overwhelming light. They realize it's not multiple enemies, but a single powerful entity, an angel, as it hovers above the ground, glowing with divine energy. The angel spreads its wings, landing gracefully with immense pressure radiating from its presence. The team stares up in shock. Chains of golden light erupt from the angel's body as it unleashes a divine transformation, its power shaking the entire field. A quest notification appears, identifying the being as the first guardian angel pet. It explains the extreme difficulty and conditions to claim it. The protagonist watches silently, now realizing the immense trial ahead. The protagonist stares in shock at the overwhelming energy in front of him, realizing something terrifying is unfolding. He mutters, "This." Golden beams rain down from the sky in rapid succession. It's a massive area of effect attack that blankets the entire battlefield, giving no time to react. One of the party members barely manages to raise his shield just in time as the holy beams strike the ground around them, shaking the area with intense impact. A barrage of radiant beams strikes the ground with explosive force, engulfing enemies in a blinding impact. The aftermath is brutal. Red shockwaves ripple as destruction spreads violently. One of the adventurers screams in agony, his legs severely wounded from the blast. The protagonist and his allies rush to check on the injured, concern evident as they assess the damage. The armored warrior winces from the earlier impact, revealing all his stats: health, attack, and defense have dropped. The team quickly gathers to help him, with the healer initiating recovery while others remain alert. The protagonist activates a glowing ability, preparing for what's next with serious determination. Suddenly, the angelic boss enemy radiates divine energy, its full form revealed in golden brilliance. A system alert announces the boss's unique passive skill, one that reduces incoming damage by half while nullifying critical effects. The protagonist, breathing heavily and grinning, suggests they consider retreating from the overwhelming battle unfolding before them. As the golden-winged enemy looms, the group instinctively begins to back away. The protagonist urges his companions to retreat for now to regroup. A new subquest is triggered, Sky Island named, with objectives including retreating without being hit and surviving the angelic creature's pursuit. A laptop screen shows a video editing interface, suggesting someone is preparing to upload or edit a recent recording related to the events in the special field. Anonymous forum users discuss the situation online, criticizing the manhwa's direction and mocking the character's performance, calling him weak and useless. More users chime in, saying the current player is dragging everyone down. One admits they wouldn't want to be in a party with him again, while another claims even the support role would be better off without him. A hand clicks on a video thumbnail labeled Free Board 9, video uploaded, indicating a new video related to the special field event has just gone public. Bright light pierces the sky as someone urgently points out Kainal's reappearance, signaling a major development. Spectators confirm the sighting Kainal, the powerful entity, is descending again with blinding radiance. As the light fades, Kainal's form becomes clearer, his menacing presence sends shock through the onlookers. A close-up shows Kainal's body partially corrupted, his wings decaying, hinting at a dangerous transformation. Kainal releases a radiant burst of light, blinding everyone below as tension rises across the battlefield. Confused by the descending rain of light, one warrior panics, realizing too late that he can't evade it. The group hesitates, unsure of what the light truly is, until someone realizes it's just rain. As the strange rain continues, a heavy debuff strikes everyone unexpectedly, weakening their stats. A stunned fighter wonders aloud what just happened, as his strength fades under the effect. Even the slimes nearby begin trembling unnaturally, dark energy surrounding them as they behave erratically. One of the party members notices that something is wrong. The slimes, now with red eyes and twitching movements, look unstable. The others sense the abnormality as well, backing away cautiously while the slimes begin to pulse ominously. Suddenly, the corrupted slimes explode into violence, lunging at a player and tearing through him, triggering a terrified scream. Watching all this unfold on his laptop screen, the main character sits stunned and speechless. Sitting with his laptop, Jayan reflects on the threat's severity, realizing the monsters even have the ability to strengthen themselves, making retreat the only smart move. He admits that unlike a game, this is real life, and he must monitor his physical condition alongside in-game performance. Suddenly startled, he flinches and looks up, surprised by something off-screen. He receives a call from an unfamiliar number and wonders when he even saved the contact. Picking up the call, he's greeted by a cheerful voice introducing herself as Kim Haiji. Jayan denies logging in just to revisit old content. He's returned with a clear purpose. He watches a video showing monstrous creatures invading Seoul, identifying a dangerous new movement pattern. The monsters are beginning their advance inland, confirming this is a timed invasion scenario. He realizes this isn't just a casual mission, humanity is at stake, and every second counts. As he processes the urgency, a call arrives inviting him to join a large-scale Kainal raid targeting Seoul. Jayan looks surprised after receiving a mission alert and prepares to respond. The story transitions with the chapter title, signaling a new phase of action. A few days later, the scene shifts to Seoul Grand Park's D-Class swamp field. Veteran hunters arrive, noting the presence of top-tier players Class C or higher all gathered for a serious raid. Two hunters discuss why so many elite players are in a D-Class field, learning that it's a pre-meeting for the Kainal raid team. The crowd is filled with powerful and stylish individuals, making it clear the D-class field is just a warm-up for them. Jayan feels overwhelmed and self-conscious, questioning if he truly belongs in such a high-tier gathering. He reflects on how he even dressed to seem more confident, but can't shake his anxiety. Someone familiar calls out to Jayan with a warm wave, snapping him out of his thoughts. Jayan is greeted by the healer and her companion, relieved to finally see someone familiar in the overwhelming crowd. They discuss the qualification to be present being at least B-class, and Jayan wonders if it was okay for him to enter with a lower rank. He explains he registered using a beginner association loophole and questions if that was truly enough to be allowed in. The healer reassures him, saying that raid leaders often include a few lower-ranked people for flexibility. Just then, armored footsteps signal the approach of someone important, catching their attention. A group of well-known, high-ranking individuals enters the scene, drawing attention and whispers from the surrounding crowd. Jayan watches in awe as the healer explains that those are the elite members of the Kainal raid team. The heavily armored leader of the raid squad steps forward, announcing that no C-class hunters are allowed beyond this point. The red-caped leader halts the group and declares that before briefing on Kainal, everyone lines up as the leader prepares for a skill demonstration, raising his large sword. With a single powerful swing, he clears the area cleanly, impressing the onlookers. The healer smirks, confident and ready to settle a score from a past encounter. Jayan, watching the display, feels overwhelmed by the skill gap, realizing just how intense the competition is. Jayan watches the red-caped leader from behind, starstruck and admiring his charisma, internally calling him so damn cool. Meanwhile, a group of lizard-like monsters charges aggressively through the swamp zone. With swift and brutal precision, the red-caped leader cuts down the monsters, his combat strength on full display. Jayan repeats his thoughts in awe, completely captivated by the leader's dominance in battle. Jayan stands among the team but looks unsettled, aware that his own stats are dangerously low compared to others. He snaps himself out of hesitation, reminding himself that facing enemies with such weak base stats is essentially suicide. The only reason he's managed to stay alive so far is because of the elemental ring that boosts his magic power. Despite knowing magic is his best route, he instinctively grabs a sword during the chaos, confused why it doesn't feel foreign. Surprisingly, wielding the sword feels oddly familiar to Jayan. He can handle it naturally, even without prior training. Jayan prepares to draw his sword but stops himself, realizing it's not the right time to rely on physical combat due to his weak stats. He concludes that close-quarters fighting is too risky and decides to hold back from using class-related magic for now. As a fight intensifies, he quietly calculates his options with a sharp grin, revealing he's strategizing rather than panicking. Suddenly, a high-level armored knight dashes forward at lightning speed, initiating a powerful attack. The knight's eyes glow ominously red, indicating something abnormal or dangerous is about to happen. The armored knight slices through a horde of lizard monsters with swift, brutal efficiency, leaving a trail of carnage. Jayan watches from a distance, realizing that with his current abilities, trying to fight like that would be suicidal. He stands among the group, deep in thought, feeling the gap between himself and the stronger fighters. A system notification appears, marking the beginning of a Restricted Battle RS1, a limited stat battle where individual skills, gear, and situational judgment will decide survival. The armored warrior kneels beside his greatsword, catching his breath amid fallen lizard monsters. He declares that he's found it referring to a hidden or desired technique. He reflects on the powerful ability he just activated, a wild skill that instantly boosts physical stats, granting him overwhelming combat prowess. The warrior stands tall amid the battlefield, surrounded by the corpses of defeated lizard monsters, his blood-soaked blade a testament to the carnage. A fiery riverbank glows in the background, suggesting the aftermath of intense combat as the area falls momentarily silent. Suddenly, a massive lizard creature crashes down, its sheer size and force shaking the ground with a thunderous impact. The creature is revealed to be the Seoul Grand Park Swamp Area Field Boss, a towering monster roaring in rage and ready for battle. The Poison Lizard King crushes several lizard-type monsters underfoot, showcasing its overwhelming power as it enters the battlefield with a violent impact. A group of adventurers freezes in terror as someone shouts, "It's a boss mob!" Realizing the threat, panic and urgency ripple through the team. Jayan's expression hardens with focus as he prepares to unleash a hidden trump card, his eyes glowing with determination. A system notification appears, revealing Jayan has activated Limit Break V1. The Poison Lizard King roars with rage, gripping its curved blade tightly as its eyes glow with murderous intent. A swift and powerful leap follows as armored boots slam into the ground, signaling a counterattack from the human side. The warrior charges in fearlessly, blade drawn, clashing head-on with the massive beast in a high-speed strike. A system notification reveals that Jayan has lost HP after being struck during the exchange with the Poison Lizard King. Watching from a distance, the armored knight smirks at Jayan's situation, teasing him for getting beaten after nearly defeating the boss last time. The armored knight mocks Jayan's earlier claim of nearly defeating the Poison Lizard King, emphasizing that almost doesn't count. Lady Kim Hyaji explains raid mechanics, clarifying that rewards are only granted if you contribute meaningfully to the battle. She points out that Jayan's debuffs had an impact during the fight, meaning his actions counted toward raid contribution. Jayan reflects on how support players like him level up, realizing that applying helpful debuffs is considered valid participation. Meanwhile, the red-caped warrior readies his blade again, preparing for the next confrontation with unwavering determination. The armored leader stands before the group, announcing that the debriefing will conclude before distributing the raid rewards. Jayan reflects on how status ailments like debuffs are finally being recognized as valuable support tools in combat. He stares silently, processing everything, still unsure how to feel about his unusual but effective contribution. A new skill notification appears, Catastrophe, a wide-range magic that triggers status effects like blindness and confusion. Jayan realizes that although the boss was too fast for this skill to help during the fight, it might prove useful in the future. Another reward message pops up, the Unity Fragment, which enhances resistance and might hint at a hidden quest or connection. A new reward skill named Fraudulent Strategy is revealed, enhancing status ailments, buff disruption, and providing bonus exp when targeting enemy weaknesses. Jayan reflects in awe, realizing that status-related abilities are actually powerful tools, not just throwaway skills. The Knight Leader acknowledges the contributions of healers and support classes, reinforcing their importance in team strategy. Jayan smiles brightly, finally feeling recognized, and humorously notes that he got everything he wanted from this raid. Relieved, he gazes at the sky and quietly wishes to return home, content with the outcome. The chapter ends with a transition screen announcing Kinal Raid D1, hinting at a major upcoming event. Jayan collapses on his bed, groaning from exhaustion and feeling like he's dying after the intense raid. He opens his status window, curious to see the results of everything he achieved during the recent battle. He's surprised to find that he successfully acquired the Fraudulent Strategy skill just before the Kinal skill was activated. As new quests begin flooding in like daily quest, react to situations in under 3 seconds, he sees himself portrayed comically overwhelmed by their volume. Frustrated, Jayan screams internally, questioning why he's getting bombarded with quests without even getting a chance to rest. Jayan slumps on the floor, amazed that all his recent skill rolls are still landing as E rank. His luck is absurd. Sitting cross-legged, he decides to take advantage of his momentum and level up a sample skill to test it out. He taps on the upgrade option, triggering a series of skill evolution notifications. As the skills level up, Giant gains powerful enhancements, including Sacred Level 3 and improved buff type abilities. Transformed and energized, he envisions using Radiant Authority and Transformation Resistance to stack buffs, then explode with overwhelming power. Giant reflects on the red-caped warrior's skill, Blood Combat, impressed that such a skill was shared with him. He recognizes that copying skills 3 times isn't enough, he needs more to create true synergy. He imagines a dream combo: Blood Combat, Radiant Authority, Transformation Resistance, and one strong attack skill layered together. Convinced this build would outperform even the originals, Giant moves forward with determination. Back in his room, he sighs, wishing he had one more slot to store an extra skill, surrounded by floating status windows. Giant acknowledges that he can now utilize 5 skills and begins strategizing which ones to equip. He reviews his selected abilities' Radiant Authority and Transformation Resistance key buffs for survival and power. With resolve, he steps into battle, facing a terrifying beast charging straight at him. Unfazed, he unleashes a blazing energy attack, a fierce grin on his face as fire erupts from his hands. Confident in his preparations, Giant declares it's time to put his buffs to the test. Online users begin chatting about a mysterious player who spammed Fireball in the Gapyeong field, drawing curiosity and speculation. Another user confirms the identity of the player, stating he's become known due to a recent video circulating online. A clip surfaces showing the field boss, a giant snake, being overwhelmed, confirming the chaotic situation caused by the unknown caster. As the boss appears, a group of players panic, realizing they're unprepared for such a powerful opponent. Meanwhile, the snake redirects its focus, charging towards someone else off-screen, giving the others a moment of relief. The massive snake charges through the forest, its target clearly in sight, but someone cloaked in a hood intercepts its path with blazing determination. A giant fireball erupts, lighting up the area and startling onlookers with its sheer intensity and size. One shocked observer questions the nature of the overwhelming attack, realizing it's far more powerful than standard spells. Another player catches a glimpse of the caster amidst the flames and begins to suspect the attacker's true identity. As the dust begins to settle, the hooded caster's glowing red eyes focus forward, charging straight toward the stunned group. The cloaked figure dashes forward with explosive speed, stunning everyone with movement far too quick for a typical mage. A group of fighters watches in disbelief as the figure vanishes mid-charge, prompting confusion about whether they're witnessing a magician or a speed-type warrior. The massive serpent attacks furiously, forcing the others to scatter, while one swordsman yells for his ally to dodge quickly. A fiery explosion erupts across the field, engulfing the area in heat and chaos as spells and screams collide. Amid the aftermath, the cloaked attacker calmly steps out of the smoke, silently surveying the battlefield. The serpent lets out a high-pitched screech as it desperately tries to escape, slithering across the ground in full retreat. The cloaked figure delivers a flaming aerial slash, striking the creature mid-motion with overwhelming force. Nearby adventurers look on in stunned horror, shouting for the attacker to stop before more chaos erupts. One onlooker mutters that someone insane is taking down field bosses using nothing but a basic chopping skill. Elsewhere, a mysterious wheel-shaped object begins spinning rapidly, hinting at something new being activated. The assistant informs a well-dressed man that the field inspection is complete, and he now has a short break before the next event. Relaxing in the backseat of a luxurious vehicle, the man casually checks updates on his device. He reads breaking news: Pykapass has successfully slain the mountain snake, a feat few expected. When asked if he's concerned about Pykapass, he calmly acknowledges the connection, recalling he entrusted them with a special ring. Holding his phone, the man appears reflective but composed, hinting at deeper plans involving Pykopass. The woman questions the man's confidence in identifying the mysterious fighter as Jayan, hinting at doubt. The man finds it intriguing, reflecting on the elemental ring he gave away and how it shouldn't enhance agility or movement. Despite that, the fighter's precise and minimal dodges impress him, suggesting years of real combat experience. Meanwhile, the cloaked figure continues moving with practiced stealth and deadly intent. The two officials shift the conversation to guild affairs, noting increased reports of sightings in designated special fields. The suited man confirms they are closely monitoring both Pykopass and the raiders, aware that attention will attract complications. As the officials walk away from the guild building, the man quietly hopes no trouble will come to his friend. Meanwhile, someone casually relaxes indoors, unaware of the growing storm outside. On a monitor, a recorded battle flashes, capturing intense action from the recent raid. The screen shows a fiery clash mid-attack, revealing the explosive power now drawing everyone's attention. A mysterious man smirks confidently while reading something, clearly amused or intrigued. His expression suggests he's already planning something or has just learned something exciting. The name Pykopass appears dramatically in a speech bubble, indicating that the man is now focused on this individual. This implies that Pykopass has caught the attention of someone powerful or influential. A hooded man checks his phone, noticing that a video of his battle has been uploaded online and is spreading fast. He zooms in on the screen and recognizes his own image, prompting him to wonder if his face has been exposed. The man nervously looks around while others nearby talk about how the video clearly shows someone using fire magic to kill the monster. He grows more agitated, realizing he was only shown briefly, but fears the exposure is enough to compromise his identity. In a panic, he clutches his phone and complains that even a small glimpse was enough for people to identify him as the mystery attacker. He calms himself and considers deleting the video, but then decides to test the system to see how well it recognizes him if he uploads a new, less revealing video. The man considers creating a new account using a fake name to upload the video anonymously, protecting his identity. He imagines the potential rewards if millions watch the video and clicks roll in from a separate profile. Lying down in luxury in his imagination, he chuckles at the thought of racking up views without exposing himself. Returning to reality, he sighs, realizing he must still figure out how to keep himself hidden while gathering clips. He approaches a glowing pillar, recalling that his plan was to return at night when it's safer to hunt. Remembering his earlier exhaustion, he resolves to gather more gear and skills before confronting the next powerful boss. He stops in his tracks as a soft blue glow catches his attention beneath a nearby tree. Approaching the mysterious light, he spots a small orb pulsing faintly on the ground and wonders if it's valuable. He carefully picks it up, surprised by how light it feels, and checks the system screen for information. The interface reveals it's a skill transfer orb, something highly sought after by monster bosses. Realizing the orb might contain a powerful ability, he deduces that a nearby elite monster likely dropped it. With a grin, he whispers to himself to keep quiet, ready to capitalize on the lucky discovery before others arrive. He looks up at the sky, noting this wasn't the time or place where the monster was supposed to appear. Suddenly, sharp flapping fills the air as a large shadow swoops toward him, signaling the arrival of something dangerous. A giant bird-like creature descends rapidly from the moonlit sky, its claws extended, aiming directly for him. He quickly turns his head in surprise, just in time to see the sharp talons heading his way, and raises his arm defensively. He narrowly avoids the bird's first strike, landing awkwardly as the creature screeches overhead in frustration. He catches his breath and scans the sky, eyes darting for the next sign of movement, fully alert now. momentarily relaxing. He even hums to himself, trying to stay composed amid the tension. Though he tries to brush it off, he admits the sudden ambush startled him more than expected. The bird circles back, preparing for another dive, while he crouches by the tree and analyzes the situation more carefully. As he prepares his next move, a massive explosion erupts in the distance, a fireball lighting up the night sky. The blonde warrior assesses the current situation, noting that the area is unusually quiet for this time of night. He stands confidently among his men, declaring that the lack of action likely means the major monsters have already been defeated. Kicking aside a fallen beast, he smirks, suspecting that someone else has already done the heavy lifting before they arrived. He speculates aloud that another group might have beaten them to the raid, sparking unease among his followers. A shadowy figure grins menacingly, cutting off further discussion with a chilling comment. The masked man's sinister expression intensifies as he declares that they'll simply kill anyone who stands in their way. A system alert confirms that a skill, Stealing Essence D, has been activated. Meanwhile, the protagonist reviews his progress, noting that he's almost finished gathering the required essences. He clenches another essence orb, satisfied that he's now just one away from completing the mission. Reflecting on his pace, he remembers starting this task several hours ago and affirms that he's close to being done. The protagonist kneels down cautiously, sensing something unusual in the air as he surveys the area. Suddenly, a blinding light pierces the sky, and he spins around, alarmed by the unexpected burst of magical energy. An angelic figure descends amidst an explosion of radiant light, overwhelming the field with power. He watches in awe, realizing this must be a powerful summoner's skill, something on a completely different level. Elsewhere, soldiers panic as a giant bird swoops down from the skies, prompting them to unleash a full barrage of arrows. A soldier commands his team to concentrate their attacks on the creature's wings, hoping to bring it down swiftly. Watching from a distance, the protagonist contemplates the chaos, realizing that if he joins now, he could slip away unnoticed after the battle. He hesitates, wondering if his contribution will even be recognized amid the large-scale fight and conflicting guild agendas. His system notifies him of hidden raid mechanics, revealing that late entry still allows reward participation if conditions are met. He reflects on the risk and reward, recognizing this might be a rare opportunity for easy gains without full commitment. With a deep breath, he steels himself, questioning whether his decision to hold back was wise or wasteful. The protagonist watches from afar, amused that he's getting raid credit without doing anything while others struggle. A large bird monster takes flight again despite being hit, roaring in pain as it tries to escape the coordinated attacks. The hunters keep firing relentlessly, pushing the monster toward the ground as it starts losing altitude. With the monster crashing down violently, the raid team sees an opening and prepares to finish the job. The leader yells for the final assault, signaling all raiders to charge in and kill the wounded beast immediately. The masked man calmly observes the battle from the sidelines, pretending to be uninvolved while staying close to the action. The winged guardian swoops in with brutal speed, striking down multiple attackers with its dual blades in a dazzling display of power. With a calm yet fierce expression, the guardian gathers swirling blue energy, signaling the start of a devastating skill as its crimson eyes lock onto the next target. The winged guardian unleashes a massive wave of blue energy, blasting through the battlefield with overwhelming force and disrupting enemy lines. Confused soldiers question the sudden appearance of fireballs, wondering who is attacking from afar as the chaos grows around them. A masked figure, clearly exhausted, reflects on the struggle of being a damage dealer while relying on others up close, feeling the pressure of the fight. He realizes that the active quest buff is amplifying his stats beyond control, making his responses too powerful to manage effectively. The masked figure struggles with whether to use his skills, knowing that acting too skilled might draw suspicion, but doing nothing would also stand out. Amidst the chaos, the winged monster unleashes another destructive wave, but the attacker reflects on how they'd already be exposed if it weren't for the distraction of the battle. Despite the risk, he admits that with his boosted stats, repeatedly striking such a durable enemy feels strangely satisfying. Finally, as others glance at him curiously, he hides a grin and casually declares that this entire fight is actually fun. The masked fighter decides to fully commit to the battle, planning to blend in with the group and claim all the rewards for himself. The winged enemy begins retreating into the sky, leaving the battlefield and creating a moment of confusion among the other hunters. Suddenly, a quest notification appears. A hidden summoning condition has been fulfilled, triggering the arrival of a new enemy, one far more powerful. A brilliant golden figure descends, the evolved form of the original boss, radiating immense energy and drawing all attention as it unleashes a devastating entrance attack. The newly transformed winged boss soars into the air, now larger and more aggressive, ready to unleash chaos across the battlefield. A lone warrior charges in with confidence, striking at the boss's leg, only to pause in confusion as his blow seems ineffective against its enhanced form. Nearby, a group of newcomers observes the aftermath from a distance, surprised by the scale of destruction and wondering if a raid event has begun. The masked protagonist, noticing the unexpected scene, recalls that the official raid schedule shouldn't have started yet, hinting that something irregular is unfolding. A masked man clicks his tongue in irritation, noting that people nearby are beginning to take notice of their actions. He questions another cloaked figure's presence at the scene, only to be met with suspicion and rising tension. Without warning, he slashes through the figure, silencing him with a brutal strike as red energy bursts in the background. Coldly, the attacker mutters that if Lee Hai-sung learns about this, things could become troublesome, revealing deeper implications behind their covert operation. The masked leader gives the order to eliminate all outsiders, escalating the violence even further. As chaos breaks out, one of the outsiders watches in horror, realizing that innocent players are being attacked without warning. Screams for help echo as blood is spilled, and the hooded protagonist watches a man fall, overwhelmed by the brutality. He quickly deduces that this isn't just looting, these enemies are murdering players without hesitation. Shaken by the realization, he knows he needs to escape immediately before he becomes the next target. A sudden and powerful strike slices through the air, halting the chaos as a formidable new group arrives on the scene. Their armored leader grips a massive sword and scans the battlefield, locking eyes with the protagonist, who immediately realizes the gravity of the situation and mutters that he's in serious trouble. One of the knight's men looks around at the disorganized crowd and scoffs, doubting they could possibly be the real raid team. The armored leader glares at the surrounding players, questioning their audacity for invading a raid and behaving so recklessly. With quiet fury, he condemns the attackers not only for attempting to steal the raid boss, but for going so far as to kill innocent users. The armored knight coldly declares that even if the attackers die here, they deserve no sympathy, raising his sword to execute them. He lunges into battle, his blade cutting through multiple enemies as his fury unleashes against the raiders. Meanwhile, one of the masked enemies shouts orders to eliminate everyone in their way, rallying his group with the cry to kill them all and leave no one standing. The protagonist nervously scans the battlefield, panicking as he wonders where to position himself for safety and advantage amidst the chaos. Suddenly, the powerful beast Kainal launches another attack, its wings slicing through the air with deadly force, throwing the battlefield into further turmoil. The battlefield turns chaotic as desperate players scream about losing the last hit, equating it to wasting effort. Their strategy quickly shifts to targeting the enemy raid's healers. Amid the confusion, one player tries to avoid being caught in the crossfire, insisting he's not part of the raid while being attacked anyway. Cries for help echo as the situation worsens. Observing the mess, the protagonist assesses the fight calmly. He notes how their scattered firepower is weakening their offense and concludes that they must take Kynal down quickly to regain control. Kynal charges forward with glowing red eyes, determined to break through the chaos with sheer force. He launches a powerful leap attack, aiming to overwhelm his enemies in one clean strike. The protagonist silently watches, realizing the gravity of the threat and searching for a way to counter it. A mage launches a fiery spear into the battlefield, striking down enemies and lighting up the chaos. One enemy raises their sword to finish off an injured target, but the threat doesn't go unnoticed. Just in time, a pair of reinforcements arrive, cloaked in blue energy, ready to intercept the attacker. The female warrior looks confused as a strange burst of energy glows in the background. She turns to see the source and notices a glowing vortex form behind a hooded figure. Two armored fighters rush to check on her, and she explains that the hooded mage just attacked his own allies. Despite the chaos, she realizes he intentionally did it to protect her. The armored warrior looks stunned as he notices the countdown timer ticking down rapidly. Despite the rising pressure, another fighter urges his comrades to hold on as the raid nears its climax. Amid fierce resistance and flashing abilities, the group pushes forward, counting down the final moments. As the timer hits 0, the hooded player remains steady, signaling the raid's critical turning point has arrived. The hooded player confirms his action and activates the skill copy ability, locking onto a powerful technique mid-battle. He successfully copies Blood Frenzy and receives a massive boost to all stats, his aura turning fierce and deadly. Without hesitation, he channels his newfound power and launches a fiery spell, Fireball, into the chaos. A massive wall of blue fire erupts forward, engulfing enemies in its blazing wake as the hooded mage releases his attack with deadly precision. Standing amidst the chaos, the mage watches as a system alert confirms his feat 20 kills achieved and his skill target increased. Elsewhere, a knight clicks his tongue in frustration, gripping his blade tightly as he observes the tide of battle shifting. The hooded mage unleashes another wave of devastating blue flames, pushing back the monster horde with relentless force. A knight slashes through enemies while observing the mage's efficiency, realizing that if the monster spawn continues, the tide could shift fast. System alerts pop up one after another, confirming that the mage has achieved the required kill count repeatedly, increasing his skill target multiple times. As energy gathers around him, the mage reflects that his blood frenzy effect boosting stats per kill is far superior to normal resistance boosts. The white-feathered monster, overwhelmed by the blazing blue magic, shouts a final farewell before being consumed in a powerful blast. The explosion tears through the battlefield, sending shockwaves across the sky in a brilliant display of light and destruction. As the dust settles, the scene transitions to a calm aftermath: scattered feathers, a ruined battlefield, and a fading magical glow in the air. A warrior exhales in relief, asking if the monster has finally been defeated as its body lies motionless on the ground. The hooded mage stares in silence, sensing something is wrong, then mutters in frustration, realizing the fight isn't over yet. The monster's eye flares open with a sinister glow, signaling its unexpected return to consciousness. The monster rises again, summoning a radiant trident as it declares the beginning of the final phase of battle. Its body glows with divine energy as it prepares for a powerful finishing move. The surrounding warriors react in shock as the trident is raised high, unleashing a massive aura that shatters their composure. The boss slams its trident into the ground, unleashing a blinding golden explosion that rips through the battlefield. Caught in the blast, the hooded mage braces himself amid the destruction, struggling to withstand the overwhelming shockwave. The hooded mage braces himself, overwhelmed by the explosive force and aware that failure now means total defeat. As golden light rains down, a voice cuts through, calling out calmly. The knight activates a barrier, shielding them both, then charges forward amidst the debris. He smirks, glancing back at the mage, and says, "You owe me one." The battlefield lies shattered and silent, until the winged monster slowly rises from the crater, glowing eyes locked forward. Cracks spiderweb across the earth beneath its feet as it begins its final advance. The winged boss monster stares down in shock as the barrier beneath it begins to fracture, catching it completely off guard. The blue energy dome pulses intensely, signaling that it's under siege from within. Without hesitation, the black-hooded boy strikes, grabbing the armored knight from behind and slamming him face first into the ground. Blue energy swirls around them as the knight recoils in pain and surprise. The hooded boy's expression shifts from cold focus to wide-eyed tension as he channels more of the swirling blue magic gathering around him. A wave of blue flames surges toward the boss monster, encircling its position on the broken platform as the knight barely steadies himself beneath the pressure. Calm and composed, the boy mutters "Fireball," unleashing a devastating attack that tears through the sky, crashing down toward the enemy in a blazing spiral. The fireball strikes with immense force, engulfing the winged monster in a pillar of searing blue flames as its silhouette vanishes within the blinding energy. From a distance, the allied warriors watch in shock, one of them crying out in concern for Kainal, unsure if he managed to escape the blast in time. The winged monster slowly rises from the cratered ground, its expression unreadable, gripping its weapon in silence under the swirling mist. A strange glowing aura begins raining down from above, showering the battlefield with lights as if responding to the monster's survival. One of the players, watching nervously, realizes the creature's resilience must be tied to a hidden boss system triggering another phase. The armored man glares at his allies, frustrated by their hesitation, while a red-masked fighter stands beside him looking wary. Without warning, the swordsman strikes down one of his own, declaring that cowards have no place in his path. Watching calmly, the red-masked man notes how the situation is growing annoying and wonders if anyone realizes their mage has vanished. He turns away, calculating his next steps, knowing he must prevent the remaining players from noticing the mage's absence. A system notification appears, signaling the completion of a hidden quest and granting insight into the mysterious masked figure's true intentions. The hooded mage silently evaluates the situation, his calm expression hiding the thoughts racing through his mind. He glances at the battlefield, surprised by how much damage one of the knights is causing with sheer raw power. Realizing the knight's threat level is higher than expected, he prepares to react quickly to avoid being caught off guard. As he suddenly dashes forward, the surrounding players are startled by his bold and unpredictable movement. One of the knights shouts in frustration, recognizing the hooded figure's interference and calling him out with anger. The hooded mage raises his fist triumphantly and shouts that he was the one who caught Kainal, making sure everyone hears him. One of the masked warriors clenches his jaw in frustration, recognizing the bold claim and cursing under his breath. He glares at the mage with disbelief, calling him a psychopath for the reckless stunt he just pulled. The hooded mage grins wide, fully owning the chaos he's caused and declaring the raid reward as his. He then swiftly bolts from the scene, laughing mockingly and sarcastically thanking everyone for their hard work in the raid. The masked warrior turns to leave but hesitates, muttering something to himself as a realization strikes. He clenches his sword, sensing something's off. He can't feel the touch of the core, which should have confirmed the kill. A frustrated expression crosses his face as he realizes he's been tricked. The hooded guy never actually dealt the finishing blow. His comrade confirms the suspicion, pointing out that not just him, but everyone got played by that guy's flashy distraction. Grinding his teeth in fury, the warrior vows not to let it slide, swearing revenge for the deception. The red-masked warrior seethes with disbelief, his mind echoing the thought it's unbelievable that they were outsmarted so easily. Meanwhile, the hooded protagonist stands alone in a void-like realm, staring up in stunned realization, questioning whether he just got scammed. Multiple reward notifications flash in front of him. Quest completion, stat points, and unique trait unlocks flood his screen all at once. He stares in shock and disbelief, overwhelmed by the sheer number of bonuses being granted, barely able to process it. Suddenly, a mysterious pair of glowing hands emerges from the light, reaching toward him with unknown intent. A radiant fairy-like figure descends from the sky, greeting him warmly as Brave One, her wings glowing with magic. The boy recoils in surprise at the sudden appearance, staring wide-eyed as she introduces herself as Ego, his tutorial assistant. Ego calmly explains that since he's completed the main quest, she's now here to personally guide him through the tutorial phase. He expresses surprise, admitting he's never even heard of a tutorial assistant before, and suspects this must be related to his unique trait. Ego offers to begin the reward collection process, and he casually agrees, intrigued by what's next. Ego initiates the system and unlocks a choice of destined trait upgrade, presenting it as a significant reward. She explains that trait upgrades function like a second-class advancement, catching his attention with the potential growth it implies. Ego explains that he can now add detailed traits to his existing ones, essentially refining his abilities for greater specialization. He listens carefully as Ego outlines that he may choose one skill to upgrade with additional traits. Two upgrade options appear, one enhancing the survivor's skill, the other improving the skill copy trait to become Boss Collector. He reasons logically, concluding that improving survivability might offer more value in the long, hinting at his decision. He admits to himself that he's still too weak and wouldn't have caught Kynal without the help of the system's bonuses. Reflecting on his recent raid, he realizes his best strategy is to increase the number of skills he can copy rather than focusing solely on defense. He chooses to enhance the skill copy trait, prioritizing flexibility and future power gains. The upgrade confirms success. His enhanced trait now allows him to copy not just boss skills, but also multiple variations depending on trait level and compatibility. He feels slightly disappointed that the skill copy limit is reduced to 2, but quickly regains optimism, hoping luck might push it up to 8 in rare cases. The assistant offers to review other unclaimed rewards, and he eagerly agrees, wanting to make the most of this opportunity. A flaming sword emerges from the random item box, its appearance both intimidating and awe-inspiring as its stats are revealed. Holding the weapon, he feels an overwhelming surge of power, especially due to the fire aura surrounding it, making it difficult to stay calm. He confirms that the box he's holding contains the Skill Master reward from the main quest, eager to open it. Upon opening, he receives a bonus quest and some rewards, but he's surprised by the small amount, questioning if this is really all. The system announces the addition of a new subtrait, giving him another passive benefit that enhances his skill utility even more. Despite all the upgrades, his real excitement builds for the final reward he's about to unveil, hinting at something even greater. The protagonist opens the Skill Master reward box and is surprised to receive a generous bonus that feels more like a quest reward than a normal prize. He obtains a new subtrait that adds bonus effects to his skills, enhancing their utility beyond just raw power. Impressed, he reflects on how small details like this extra trait can significantly boost his combat performance. However, what truly excites him is the next item he's about to claim. His anticipation builds as he clutches it with a confident grin. 17. The protagonist presents a necklace called Servant's Blessed Necklace, which holds powerful stat bonuses and rare enhancements, stunning him with its overwhelming effects. As he processes the plus 61 stat gain, he shouts in excitement, realizing how absurdly high that number is. Overwhelmed by the bonuses, he wonders if he's finally catching up to those who used to overpower him so easily. Suddenly, a new notification reveals he's gained the legendary trait Descendant A, linking him to a historical master and boosting all stats, resistances, and skill strength further. The spirit of Kind begins to vanish, dissolving into light as the final phase skill activates, just like the protagonist had seen in the past. Shocked by the sheer power, he panics, questioning how a low-ranked player like him was able to defeat such a powerful enemy. Realizing the absurdity of it all, he reflects that the rare combination of conditions made it possible to bring Kind down. Now, with 20,000 SP in hand, he immediately invests 12,000 into upgrading his skill copy sub-trait, prioritizing survivability and long-term growth. With the upgrade complete, he's satisfied that he's laid the foundation, and now the rest of his power progression can steadily follow. The protagonist celebrates as his efficiency trait reaches level 2, lowering the mana cost of copied skills by 20%, making his ability more sustainable. Excited by the benefits, he cheers at how trait upgrades now also grant minor enhancements to copied abilities, improving combat performance. He then unlocks the daily quest trait at level 2, enabling steady progression through consistent activity, prompting praise from Ego for his exceptional growth. The protagonist exhales in relief, believing everything is finally over and he's free to go about his business. Ego quickly corrects him, explaining that what he just experienced was merely the reward phase, not the end. Shocked, the protagonist listens as Ego states that the real tutorial is about to begin now. She prompts him to recall the final line of the main quest for clarity, leading him to hesitate for a moment. He then remembers it was about the survival of both Earth and humanity, making the stakes of the next phase abundantly clear. The protagonist, startled and confused, asks what the final quest line actually means. Ego responds solemnly, revealing that their entire world is now at risk. A terrifying vision follows dark, monstrous figures from another dimension preparing to destroy Earth, signaling the start of a deadly invasion. A reporter announces the shocking vanishing of Dry Island, highlighting it as a major catastrophe with ongoing investigations. As helicopters fly through the sky, updates continue, noting that the island vanished without warning and caused widespread panic. At the center of the phenomenon, military forces guard a swirling dimensional gate, hinting at its role in the island's disappearance. Meanwhile, a warrior in armor addresses the press, confirming the successful completion of the rescue mission and hinting at deeper revelations. The warrior continues addressing the press, confirming that they recovered important survivors and neutralized the threat. He shares limited details, stating only that a boss-tier monster was confirmed and all stats were verified. Refusing to elaborate further, he coldly ends the briefing and walks off with authority, sword in hand. At home, a mysterious woman lounging with a tablet watches the broadcast and muses that the speaker might be lying or hiding the truth. She suspects the survivor must have gained something incredible, thinking it might be a special merit. Her expression shifts into curiosity as she leans forward, clearly intrigued by the deeper implications of the incident. As the screen fades out, tension lingers in the air. What exactly did the survivor gain, and who else is watching? Jaehyun reflects on the recent battle, noting that the kill count alone doesn't reveal who truly cleared the canal raid. She mentally reviews clues, considering the possibility that the robed attacker wasn't just a high-stat damage dealer, but someone unusually skilled. While analyzing, she receives a call and guesses the attacker was likely a psychopath-type mage who used Fireball as their main skill. She quickly picks up the call, sensing it might confirm her theory, and the voice on the other end wastes no time. The caller directly asks Jaehyun if she was the mage who helped clear the canal raid, catching her off guard with his blunt approach. Jaehyun is caught off guard by the caller's blunt accusation and hurriedly denies being in the raid at all. She insists she never made it in, while the caller recalls that the mysterious mage looked just like her. Trying to deflect suspicion, she claims she wanted to explain but couldn't because she lost contact. Despite her denial, the caller seems to realize the truth anyway, but she continues pretending otherwise, apologizing for missing the raid. Meanwhile, relaxing poolside with a drink and someone beside her, she shifts topics and pretends the call was nothing important. The main character sighs in frustration, dodging a barrage of repeated calls from someone named Hyaji while lounging shirtless. Annoyed by her persistence, he wonders who even calls once every minute and debates blocking the number. Suddenly, he finds himself pulled back into the cosmic realm, where the fairy-like assistant appears once again. She calmly announces that Earth is on the brink of destruction by invaders from another dimension, setting the tone for what's to come. The assistant tells him not to worry, revealing that he possesses a unique ability known as Skill Master. She explains that this power lets him freely manage and transfer skills, an ability rooted in his gear rather than his class. The protagonist is puzzled, questioning how he could have such a privilege and jokingly wonders if he's secretly a demigod. Despite his confusion and self-doubt, the assistant assures him that although it's complex, he shouldn't overthink it. The protagonist hovers confidently in a glowing space, while a fiery battle between a red-haired warrior and a demonic creature unfolds in another realm. The warrior furiously charges, declaring he's had enough and won't tolerate the enemy any longer. The assistant observes solemnly, noting that the situation in that world has reached its breaking point. She then tells the protagonist that it's time for him to make a choice only he can decide how to proceed. He looks uncertain, asking what choice she means, and she reveals that he must now choose the true nature of his role in the unfolding scenario. The assistant explains that the protagonist's summoned power has the potential to influence the entire world. She tells him that this power can go either way, it all depends on how he chooses to use it. The protagonist stands thoughtfully, realizing the burden and responsibility resting in his hands. She clarifies that he can either use this power purely to protect himself or accept the weight of saving the world. Calmly, she reassures him that it's okay to choose for himself, no matter what path he takes. The protagonist reflects that salvation isn't an obligation, but merely one of many possible choices he can make. The assistant gently reminds him that his power doesn't bind him, it grants freedom to decide for himself. Meanwhile, a girl struggles with the complicated summoning form, frustrated by the unclear questions and terms. Eventually, she gives up on trying to fully understand and simply selects random options just to finish it. With a click, she completes the form, officially accepting the summoning invitation without knowing what truly awaits. The woman analyzes data on her laptop and confidently states that Yu Jinhyun is definitely the psychopath. Her male companion remains cautious, reminding her there's still no conclusive evidence to prove it. She firmly states her intention to meet Yu Jinhyun in person, convinced by what she has seen. When asked why she's so interested in him, she quietly reflects without replying, clearly conflicted. She stares at the S-rank badge, contemplating the meaning of power and her motivations in this dangerous world. Finally, she resolves to stay true to herself and become the best version of herself, even if others see her as obsessive or irrational. The man sighs, clearly frustrated but silent as he listens to the woman's thoughts. She defensively points out that if he's not going to help, he should at least stop glaring at her all the time. Switching topics, she clasps her hands and shifts into a calculated mode, acknowledging how chaotic things have been and how suspicious Jinhyun's solo performance at Sky Island appears. As data and logic flash in the background, she confidently predicts Jinhyun will be labeled an irregular by the system, a threat to the current order. Despite her confident analysis, the man remarks that things rarely go as planned, leaving her silent in contemplation. A man in shining armor introduces himself, claiming he's only present to sell healing items, not participate in hunting. The girl skeptically eyes Jinhyun and asks if he's really serious about becoming a healer, suspecting it's all an act. Jinhyun insists he genuinely wants to start a freelance healer shop and isn't up to anything shady. Still unconvinced, she presses him further, while the knight watches their interaction with growing doubt. Frustrated by their exchange, the armored man raises his hand and sighs deeply. Finally, he holds up 5 fingers and calmly says, 500, suggesting payment or entry cost. The armored man agrees to pay 500 for the whole set and prepares to leave, clearly done negotiating. Jinhyun watches him go, realizing it's pointless to argue with someone so decisive and composed. As he tries to explain himself, the knight casually reminds him that he should stick to his role as a healer. Jinhyun awkwardly hesitates, trying to justify his confusion and situation. He starts to protest, but realizes he's making things worse with each word. Seeing the situation unfold, the girl comments that this kind of behavior is what makes him suspicious. Just as she turns to leave, Jinhyun blurts out that he'll explain everything. He begins to mention a specific skill, trying to prove he's not lying, and points toward a direction to demonstrate. Jinhyun nervously raises his hand to demonstrate something, while the woman looks on, completely unimpressed by his antics. The knight glances at a chart and realizes she had anticipated this awkward moment all along, leaving him silently impressed. Embarrassed, Jinhyun sighs, now convinced he'll forever be remembered as the guy with bathroom issues. She tightens her gloves with a smirk, clearly ready for the upcoming challenge. The armored man questions the plan, unsure if just 3 of them can handle the ruined field. She pauses at his concern, seemingly caught off guard by his hesitation. Trying to lighten the mood, she teases him for backing out of something they've always dreamed of doing. He steps forward confidently, stating there's no issue since the system's recommended level is just 35 to 40. The armored man mutters nervously, realizing the real concern is the overconfident one leading them. Monstrous creatures loom in the darkness as the trio prepares to enter a ruin swarming with threats. The boy stays unfazed, shrugging off the dangers and insisting it's no big deal. He confidently tells his team he'll handle everything himself and collect all the experience points. With his weapon ready, he declares that as long as he has blood battle axe, they're good to go. Just as the scene shifts to the C-rank field, Yadong Mountain Forest Reserve. The dense forest crackles with tension as hidden monsters watch from the overgrowth. Among the tangled roots lie insectoid creatures, their glowing eyes fixed on approaching prey. Text explains that this field demands at least 2 area of effect fighters due to its monster density. With flames surging around him, the boy grins confidently, believing he alone is enough for today. Flames erupt as he unleashes a powerful fireball, engulfing the enemies in a blazing inferno. The team watches the burning field, acknowledging that fire is clearly the smartest tactic here. He grins proudly, noting that even his unique trait seems to be rejoicing in the fiery chaos. Deciding to mimic the blood battle style, he prepares to monitor his stat changes closely. He activates multiple skills at once, having copied several backup techniques in preparation. Unleashing a massive explosion, he tests whether copied magic skills can rival the originals. As flames erupt across the battlefield, he grins, noting that he even triggered a double kill bonus. The woman watches in stunned silence, realizing just how many copied abilities he now possesses. With a wild grin, he declares himself invincible and unleashes a furious attack, laughing maniacally. He yells for his enemies to die, overwhelmed by the thrill of his overwhelming power. Even he admits he's gone overboard, joking about crossing into psycho territory. From a distance, a man in a black suit and shades quietly observes the fiery chaos unfolding. A surveillance feed locks onto him, confirming his identity and matching him to a Psycho Pass profile. A curved blade spins in the air as his enemies arrive faster than expected, weapons drawn. He spots them approaching and scoffs, assuming they must be suicidal to come after him. Smirking with dark confidence, he grips his weapon and decides to honor their wish by delivering death. He casts another fireball, blasting the monsters with blazing force as flames erupt everywhere. Amid the smoldering wreckage, he walks through the aftermath, watching items scatter around. He kneels to collect loot, excitedly noticing his level rapidly increasing from the battle. His eyes catch something unusual buried in the debris, prompting him to pause and investigate. He picks something up from the ground, initially thinking it's just another dropped item. His expression shifts to horror as he realizes he's holding a skeletal hand, definitely not loot. The woman screams in shock, drawing everyone's attention toward the unsettling discovery. Seeing the body, she questions if her previous attack might have accidentally killed someone. She reassures the others that normal fire wouldn't leave behind such clean bones, hinting at something more sinister. Examining the skeleton closely, she notes the complete lack of armor or weapons, highly unusual for a fighter. She concludes the victim was likely ambushed, killed, and stripped of gear before being abandoned. As she calmly calls for a recovery team, the boy is surprised by her composure, but she shrugs it off, saying murders are common in the field. The boy reflects on how hard it is to distinguish accidental deaths from murders without clear evidence. Curious, he asks if even someone as strong as her has ever been ambushed or player killed. She answers without hesitation, yes, even she was betrayed once by someone close. She recalls a moment from the past, revealing that during a hunt, a party member tried to stab her from behind. He explains that when battling monsters, it's simple, they're always the enemy, no confusion. But with people, trust becomes dangerous, especially when you can't tell who might loot your body next. She smiles warmly, unexpectedly shifting the mood by asking if he agrees she's pretty. The boy stares, stunned and confused by the sudden change in tone during such a grim topic. She reveals that her first kill wasn't for loot, it was self-defense against someone with darker intentions. The scene flashes back to her first kill standing over a bloodied corpse beside a silent teammate. The armored man looks uneasy, trying to process the calm way she speaks about that moment. She brushes it off, saying the guy basically ran up asking to be killed, so the outcome was predictable. Clasping her hands together, she casually advises them to be wary of psychos lurking in the field. Turning playful again, she tells them to just hide behind her when things get dangerous. The boy internally cringes, realizing he can't exactly explain that he's the biggest threat among them. He boasts that even Manuel wouldn't be able to defeat him now, feeling confident in his power surge. She chuckles at his boldness, admiring his self-assurance while brushing off the claim lightly. His attention shifts as a strange, metallic orb rolls to his feet, catching him completely off guard. Suddenly, a system alert flashes with unfamiliar data before he can process it. The device explodes with force. The armored man rushes in to shield the boy just as the explosion detonates, catching everyone off guard. The woman braces herself from the blast, shocked by the sudden burst of light and pressure. As the smoke clears, strange rumbling sounds echo from the forest, drawing everyone's attention. Dozens of glowing eyes appear from the shadows. It's a monster wave emerging from a hidden nest. The armored man steps forward with his shield raised, telling the others to stay behind him. As the monsters approach, the boy suddenly dashes forward, catching everyone off guard. Ignoring their warnings, he insists he can take on the threat by himself without backup. Meanwhile, from the shadows, a crossbow is aimed at him. An unknown enemy locks onto its target. A sudden scream echoes through the air as the atmosphere shifts with tension and danger. Juyeon charges ahead with determination, unaware of the threat looming nearby. A teammate yells his name in panic, sensing something is terribly wrong. An arrow flies through the forest at high speed, aimed straight at Juyeon's back. Juyeon spots the arrow on the ground and realizes he's being targeted from afar. He smirks confidently, thinking the attackers clearly underestimated his current power. Lightning crackles across his face as multiple skill notifications activate in succession. The system confirms enhancements to his body, senses, and defense in response to the threat. Meanwhile, footsteps approach quickly, and someone grunts in pain, possibly hit or ambushed. A shadowy figure emerges from the dark with a sinister smile, clearly the one behind the strike. A chilling command is issued from the shadows: it's hunting time, and the order to eliminate the team has just been given. Juyeon barrels through the battlefield, charging forward with reckless speed and full intent. A monster leaps out to intercept him, but he doesn't slow down, eyes locked ahead. His teammate shouts in alarm, but Juyeon is already mid-attack, summoning a blazing fire spear. The spear pierces through the creature with explosive force, leaving scorched remains behind. From a distance, shadowy enemies watch with eerie smiles as the flames burn across the field. She glares ahead with burning resolve, activating her gauntlet as flames swirl around her. Realizing Juyeon's reckless move may endanger everyone, she prepares to jump into the fight. With the field tense, the knight commands the others to follow and stay close behind his shield. They charge forward in formation, pushing through with a blast as she ignites the path. Suddenly, another metallic orb rolls toward them, and the knight curses as danger approaches again. He unleashes a blazing firestorm while the knight shields the team through the explosive advance. The firestorm engulfs the rolling bomb, but the orb stays intact, glowing ominously in the flames. A man smirks from afar, amused that they're trying to deal with his traps without knowing the full fight. The knight grits his teeth, recognizing the enemy group as a hostile player raid party. Juyeon prepares to face them, telling the others to leave the approaching attackers to him alone. She hurls another fiery spear with precision, aiming to break the enemy's formation. The blast strikes, causing chaos as red-hot energy crashes through their front line. Watching the aftermath, she notes that the attack hit harder than she expected. The enemy leader grins, mocking her effort and warning that she won't get off so easily. With a sinister glare, he tells his team to join the hunt and that she'll have to die too. One of the men readies a bomb, signaling they're about to escalate the assault further. As smoke fills the air, she charges forward to intercept the enemies before they can act again. The explosion sends shockwaves through the monster nest, rattling its structure from within. She warns her team that if the bombs continue hitting randomly, things could spiral out of control. More creatures stir within the nest, and a voice ominously states the real hunt is just beginning. The knight and the woman dash forward, bracing against the monster tide as chaos erupts around them. Flames explode behind them as they push through, determined to maintain control of the battlefield. Juyeon collapses from the force, barely shielding himself as smoke and debris fill the air. He sees his teammates unconscious beside him, panic rising as he realizes they're all down. His thoughts spiral. How did things spiral so far out of control? Is this really how it ends? Clutching his head in confusion and fear, he desperately tries to understand what's happening. Juyeon lies bloodied on the ground, barely conscious, struggling to process the chaos around him. His team regroups, standing firm as the monsters close in, still outnumbered and overwhelmed. Dark shapes loom from the woods, another incoming wave, more vicious than before. Juyeon gasps in disbelief, unable to understand why things keep getting worse despite their efforts. The knight suggests retreating, but Lady Sula calmly dismisses the idea, saying there's no escape. She smiles confidently, already planning a way out while clutching her bleeding side. Tapping her device, she prepares to execute a backup plan, hinting she knew this might happen. Juyeon, bloodied but grinning, declares he has a plan to end this madness once and for all. His team braces themselves behind the knight's shield as the air grows colder and tenser. Lady Sula's device activates, releasing a powerful signal across the battlefield. The enemy squad notices the pulse and realizes something's wrong with the environment shift. Their leader watches suspiciously, trying to figure out what Sula's true intention is. Juyeon lifts a mysterious item, hinting at a surprise move that may flip the entire fight. Meanwhile, another enemy mocks them, unaware of the counterattack brewing right under his nose. Juyeon clenches his fists and braces himself, muttering that it might be their last shot. The enemy leader taunts him, confident that Juyeon's resistance won't change the outcome. With a dramatic gesture, the man activates a high-tier skill, signaling the start of something massive. Bright blue circuits erupt around him, confirming that a dungeon manipulation protocol has begun. Golden magic arrays flood the area as Juyeon narrows his eyes, unsure if they can survive what's coming next. The enemy commander halts his steps and looks up, suddenly sensing something ominous in the glowing sky. As radiant golden arrays spiral upward, he realizes with dread that this isn't an ordinary dungeon skill, it's a full-scale bombardment. Juyeon, defiant and bloodied, raises his sword and activates the ultimate spell, Meteor Zone. A barrage of blazing meteors rains down from above, engulfing the battlefield in a devastating inferno. The blonde enemy leader leaps forward to retaliate, enraged by the overwhelming magic crashing down. He realizes too late that the Meteor Zone spell has turned the battlefield into a trap designed for total annihilation. Juyeon, seething with fury, screams in defiance and activates a secondary skill, Bloody Fury. A surge of red energy floods the area, amplifying his power as the meteors descend in a final cascade. The explosive impact engulfs everything in blinding golden flames, sealing the enemy's fate in utter devastation. A massive cloud of smoke and dust billows out from the scorched battlefield, shrouding the area in silence. Amid the debris, broken armor and weapons scatter across the cracked ground, evidence of the destruction. As the dust settles, Juyeon and his teammates stand atop a cliff, surveying the aftermath of their decisive attack. Juyeon quietly checks his system, then suddenly collapses backward with a triumphant shout, announcing their victory with relief. Juyeon lies on the ground, catching his breath and realizing he only survived thanks to the teleport skill. Back in his room, he contemplates his skill setup for the day, noting he has 4 available slots. He reviews his current choices: Battle Trance, Fireball, and Explosion, leaving him with 1 open slot. Scrolling on his phone, he stumbles upon a viral news post about a man being shot with an arrow, prompting his silent reaction. Juyeon reasons that while he's confident in his abilities, having an emergency escape option is just smart. He browses through his available skills and stumbles upon one that surprises him: Packed Battle Teleport. The interface confirms the skill acquisition, and Juyeon realizes it's essentially a group teleportation ability. Ecstatic at the unexpected find, he jumps with joy, feeling like it's a birthday gift. The screen displays the skill's name again as he marvels at the usefulness of it. Smiling confidently, Juyeon decides he'll figure out the technicalities later and enjoy the moment. Juyeon lies unconscious on the ground while the others stand nearby, surveying the aftermath of the battle. The woman takes out her phone and sighs, resigned to the situation. She then suggests they gather all the loot dropped by the monsters, raising her staff with confidence. Meanwhile, a curious soldier from another group stumbles upon the scene and is shocked by what he sees. He and others observe the massive cratered battlefield, stunned by the sheer scale of destruction left behind. Juyeon looks down at the massive crater, joking that it resembles a visit from Muhammad Ali. He grins, acknowledging how his teleport saved him, but also left behind a dramatic explosion. System notifications roll in, confirming his dungeon field sweep, monster kill, and achievement unlock. Elsewhere, the armored duo sit indoors discussing what they've seen, surprised by Juyeon's title, Skill Master. Juyeon confirms that his class is X grade, capable of copying and using all skills. The woman excitedly realizes that's how he managed to use healing, DPS, and buffs during battle. She slyly asks if that means he copied her skills too, clearly intrigued. The armored man gets flustered when she jokingly wonders if Juyeon copied his tank skills, admitting it's hard since he lacks a shield. The woman questions how Juyeon's skill copying ability even works and presses him on how many skills he can actually store. Juyeon brushes off the question, saying the specifics are a secret, playfully dodging her curiosity. The armored man steers the conversation to serious matters, asking about the identity of their recent attackers. Juyeon speculates they might be connected to the same group from the earlier camel raid incident. The woman hints she has a suspect in mind, prompting the man to ask where she thinks the attackers are hiding. The woman reveals that the Raider Guild is the group she suspects to be behind the recent attacks. She explains they're known for collecting boss teams, a story the others seem familiar with. Sitting across from them, she shares that the Raider Guild once tried to recruit her team by promising a boss team in return. Juyeon questions the connection between that guild and the PK group that ambushed them. They recovered several boss-grade items from the attackers, which are rare and valuable. The woman suspects this confirms the involvement of the Raider Guild, shown masked and intimidating. She explains the guild operates globally in secret, with unknown leadership and high-level coordination. Knowing this, she warns him that he's now a target of their grudge and should stay cautious. He stands alone, reflecting on how many incidents he's caused, realizing his identity might soon be exposed. Flashbacks of intense battles remind him how far he's come, but he knows he still needs to grow stronger. Sweating in the dark, he resolves to improve quickly using rank-up skills before his enemies catch up. He checks his stat window, having saved up a good amount of SP from diligently completing daily quests. Yet, because of battles, he often misses dailies, making consistent SP collection a challenge. Despite that, he pushes forward and successfully unlocks and upgrades his skills with the accumulated SP. He successfully upgrades the Teleport Link skill and smiles, wishing he could just grind SP all day. Sitting cross-legged, he considers where to spend his remaining points and decides to boost his most used skill. The upgrade notifications roll in, congratulating him for reaching level 5 in multiple skills. Relaxing proudly, he marvels at the efficiency increase just from the traits alone and imagines the strength of a full dragon set. He opens the sub-trait window while lying back, curious to see what other powerful options he now has. He unlocks several new skill upgrades in rapid succession, and regrets not getting them sooner to push Battle Trance to X rank. Lying in bed, he reflects that copied skills only retain their original grade, so he missed the chance to permanently archive the X version. A flashback shows the skill already being sealed, leaving no way to overwrite it now. A sudden realization or feeling jolts through him, shown by his clenched hand glowing with energy. The system confirms he has received a new trait called Battlefield Reaper. Another notification follows, granting him the powerful Battlefield Instinct trait as well. The system confirms the application of Amplify Effect and the addition of an upgrade option to his skill storage. He smiles while reviewing the new storage function, which allows permanent use of copied skills. As he makes his choice, the screen shows Resistance to Change, Splendid Authority, and Battle Trance being selected. The panel ends with a dramatic shot of him holding a massive sword, standing confident and ready in a lush forest setting. He lies on his bed, excited about leveling up his copied skills through passive time, deciding to relax and let things progress. Time passes, and he reflects on how he used to believe in taking it easy, unaware of the changes ahead. A new man enters the room with a woman beside him, greeting everyone cheerfully, prompting the main character to wonder why this person has suddenly appeared. Just as he's about to sleep, the girl wakes him up urgently, surprising him with sudden news. He peeks from the room to see what's going on, finding unfamiliar visitors waiting. Startled, he's greeted cheerfully with a pat on the back by a man he didn't expect to see. The woman explains they've already handled rumors from the recent incidents to keep things quiet. Curious, he thanks them, while the blue-haired girl bluntly asks the reason for their visit. The man calmly assures them not to be cautious, stating he came only to hear his friend's opinion. He sits across from them, revealing that the attackers belong to the global guild known as Raider. The blue-haired woman reacts in shock, recognizing the name and its dangerous reputation. He casually mentions that he's already in conflict with Raider Guild, sharing it as useful intel. Finally, he reveals their current secret gathering location, Gongjam Resort Ski Field. The man reveals that Raider's leader has hidden a treasure, which is the reason for their activity. The group listens carefully, their expressions showing rising curiosity and tension. The blue-haired woman questions why he's sharing this sensitive information with them. She challenges his decision, suggesting he could retrieve it himself if it's that valuable. He calmly explains that his own movements are too noticeable, making direct involvement risky. The assistant reminds the man that it's time for his next appointment, urging him to leave. He expresses regret that their conversation must end so soon, wishing for more time to speak. Jisoo reflects quietly as the man entrusts him with the responsibility to act on the information. The man leaves him with a choice: join forces to eliminate the threat or prioritize his own safety. He ends the meeting by stating that Jisoo's response will be understood through the path he chooses. A dark portal crackles open, casting violet lightning as a stunned crowd watches its chaotic energy unfold. A red-heeled foot emerges from the light, signaling the arrival of someone unexpected and powerful. The mysterious woman steps forward in a glowing blue aura, calm and composed, holding an enormous red gauntlet. As she fully materializes, all eyes turn to her, sensing that the balance in this battlefield has just shifted dramatically. A masked warrior bows respectfully and greets the newly arrived woman as Miss Lin Zioling. She tilts her head curiously, smiling with subtle amusement as if something feels off. In a sudden burst of motion, she strikes down the speaker and coldly corrects him. The masked team watches silently as she declares the former guild master is dead and she is now in command. Dark energy swirls around her as she activates a system interface, boldly instructing them to call her boss. Lin Zioling is officially introduced as the new leader of the Raider Guild, exuding dominance. She receives a report that monster patterns have now extended to the 20th floor, urging further analysis. Turning to her subordinate, she asks about the suppression of the former leader's faction. She smiles with satisfaction upon hearing that most opposition has been wiped out and expects the rest to be finished soon. Assuming the treasure left behind remains undisturbed, she commands her team to retrieve it, and they respond in unison, "Yes, boss." Lin Zioling declares the end of the old era, announcing that the Age of Outlaws has begun with her as its ruler. She intends to collect all powerful relics and seize every source of strength, marking this era as hers. Meanwhile, the protagonist arrives at a snowy ski resort, expressing excitement over the rare experience. A system window appears, revealing the location as Goryeon Resort Ski Field C02, a once popular destination now abandoned due to monster infestation. The woman cheerfully suggests grabbing loot quickly and returning later, eager to wrap things up fast. The armored man expresses concern that sending only 3 people might be too risky for this operation. Giant agrees and proposes they check out the dropped items from the raid before progressing further. The woman recalls the boss item that was left behind and wonders what happened to it afterward. She then casually lounges, stating she hasn't paid attention to who took it or how it was handled. The man suddenly reacts with alarm, realizing he may now be targeted due to his involvement. With a playful smile, the woman teases that he and Jayan are now in the same danger together. The armored man becomes irritated, realizing he was naturally added to the list of guards without consent. The woman teases him for overreacting, stating they're there to scout and retrieve items, and she counts him as part of the team. He questions if she really included him, and she jokes he's always dragging a shield around, so he might as well play the tank. Accepting his fate, the man sulks as they all head in the direction indicated on their map to search the dungeon. Suddenly, another group blocks their path, warning them not to proceed further into the field. Tension rises as the rival group challenges their intent, asking if they're part of an official raid or just acting on their own. The woman confidently challenges the opposing guild, reminding them this is an open field and not their private zone. With a fierce glare, she calls out their bluff, refusing to recognize their claim over the area. One of the rival guild members responds aggressively, insisting their guild controls this space. Meanwhile, a mysterious hooded figure approaches with determination, bracing himself with a bold resolve to protect what he holds dear. As tensions rise, the male lead reflects that while he may not be a hero yet, he still has the right to stand up for what's his. The woman smirks and taunts the enemy, sarcastically asking if they want a hug, especially since she's feeling generous enough to offer comfort. One of the armored knights launches an enraged attack, shouting in fury as the clash begins. The protagonist ignites his arm with blazing flames, fueled by rage after seeing his ally threatened. With fiery resolve, he hurls a burning fireball straight at the enemy, declaring his intent to shatter any threat. Nearby enemies recognize him in shock, realizing it's the same crazed attacker who took down 2 raiders and a tank before. They panic at his arrival, labeling him a dangerous lunatic while his calm voice concludes there's no reason to sit back any longer. The protagonist speaks coldly, questioning whether true control belongs only to those in power. With a fierce glare and magic glowing around him, he prepares to unleash a devastating spell, challenging the enemy's sense of authority. 2 rival guild members panic, trying to justify their presence and stake claim to the location. Their excuses are cut short as a massive fireball crashes down on them, engulfing the area in flames. One survivor scrambles away, yelling in shock that the lunatic actually followed through with the attack. The protagonist fiercely warns the enemy to stay out of sight or face destruction, sending them fleeing in panic. His teammates observe from afar, surprised by the intensity and change in his demeanor. They note how his overwhelming dominance made him seem like a completely different person. Moments later, he shifts back into a cheerful, goofy mood, boasting that he can act cool when needed. But as he starts posing dramatically, the others watch in disbelief, wondering how to deal with his antics. Monsters surge from the right, and the group is ordered to attack and stop them from escaping. A cocky fighter laughs, pleased that no one else can steal his contribution points, blaming others for not securing the field earlier. Suddenly, a massive fireball crashes into the scene, shocking him as he demands to know who launched the unexpected attack. A cloaked figure steps forward calmly, claiming he's just here to hunt, unfazed by the hostile stares. One of the opposing guild members arrogantly warns him that this field is under their control and mocks his confidence. The mysterious figure smirks beneath his hood, radiating an unsettling aura without replying. The guild members, sensing danger, dismiss him and suggest he leave to find another field, underestimating him completely. One of the armored warriors challenges the intruder, ready to fight and prove who gets driven out. A fierce charge begins as both sides clash mid-air, weapons drawn and expressions intense. The chaos erupts as blades meet bodies. Screams and blood fill the scene with violent energy. From afar, two cloaked observers criticize the guild members, calling them useless trash for being overwhelmed so easily. They discuss how a simple party managed to disrupt the field's control, wondering if their own plans might be affected. A white-haired warrior stares out with calm determination, declaring their next destination. The group sets their sights on the highest, most secluded point in the snowy field where a powerful item lies hidden. A mystical bracelet known as the Temptation Bracelet appears in a magical web, as they urge each other to find it quickly. The group regathers after the battle, with the protagonist casually joking despite the cold, while the others begin discussing their next move. The armored warrior emphasizes the need for a preemptive strike, knowing the raider guild won't stay idle. A question arises about how to tell enemy guilds apart, prompting the group to analyze movement and motives. The protagonist reasons that treasure-hunting enemies won't care about monster XP, hinting at a strategy to expose their goals. The protagonist narrows his eyes and smirks, clearly planning something bold as tension rises. A group of enemy guild members charges forward confidently, unaware of what's coming. Suddenly, a thick pink mist begins spreading across the snowy battlefield, catching them off guard. As the fog settles, the enemies are stunned to see a massive group of monsters emerging through the haze. A swarm of enraged monsters charges through the pink mist, their sudden appearance causing chaos among the enemy forces. Standing at a distance, the protagonist calmly observes the chaos he's unleashed, remarking on the impressive spectacle. In a flashback, he reveals that the monsters were lured by a bone-scented item, cleverly used to redirect aggression onto others. One of his allies raises a concern about identifying enemies, but the protagonist quickly dismisses it, saying their reaction to the horde will reveal their intent. A silver-haired warrior launches a devastating ice strike midair, freezing a charging monster mid-attack. His comrade notes that only two types of people would brave such danger: grinders or those with critical objectives. Observing their combat level and lack of interest in monster XP, another member concludes they must have a higher mission. From above, the team confirms that the group's goal clearly isn't monster hunting, they're here for something far more important. The group begins to follow the path left by the others, determined to stay on their trail. One of them secretly drops a tracking device, claiming that just giving it to them wouldn't be exciting enough. While running, he quietly observes the woman beside him, surprised by how different she seems from before. With footsteps fading into the snow, their pursuit continues as uncertainty hangs in the air. A scout confirms the signal is coming from the right, and the group swiftly changes direction to pursue it. They sprint through the snowy terrain, following the tracking signal with urgency. Giant alerts the group that they've located their target, catching everyone's attention. When asked what his plan is, Giant hints he came prepared for moments like this. Despite the looming confrontation, Giant is surprised by how strangely calm he feels, even knowing he must soon face killers. Lady calls out to Giant, noticing his silence, but he brushes it off, saying he was just lost in thought. Realizing now's not the time to be distracted, Giant tightens his grip and gets ready for battle. Two hunters discuss the sudden appearance of monsters, relieved their scouting team had just returned. Giant dashes forward, concluding that the earlier team was pulled back to free up space for incoming reinforcements. A blue-haired swordsman lunges at his opponent, but suddenly his target vanishes, leaving him shocked. He swiftly retreats, spinning around to scan the area, alert and confused by the sudden disappearance. Still unable to locate the attacker, he yells out in frustration, certain his strike had landed. A system notification appears, confirming the use of a stealth skill related to environmental concealment. Giant steps out with a smirk, revealing himself with his bow drawn, ready to return the favor with a surprise attack. Giant walks calmly with his allies, assuring them everything is fine as they observe the scene ahead. A masked enemy, with trembling hands and fearful eyes, mutters about surviving by beating Giant to near death, but gets instantly and brutally silenced mid-sentence. Elsewhere, a distant guard squad receives a transmission, as their leader commands them to report the situation using a communicator. A hooded man informs his comrade that they've lost contact with the entrance guards, realizing someone is closing in on them. With urgency, he activates lightning magic and commands his team to move quickly to protect the treasure. The group charges ahead with weapons drawn, preparing to defend the hidden item at all costs. Meanwhile, a system window reveals information about a powerful treasure, hinting its importance just as footsteps echo in pursuit. The enemy scrambles in panic as a powerful magic attack erupts, forcing them to abandon their shield and flee. The woman unleashes a blazing inferno with her firestorm spell, engulfing the battlefield in flames and explosions. A barrier absorbs the impact while she watches with intrigue, noticing something unusual emerging from the chaos. A devastating thunder spell crashes down, scattering enemy forces in a blinding explosion of lightning. The strike hits hard, electrocuting the shielded warrior and causing his body to seize up in pain. Seeing the opening, the enemy commander urgently commands his team to target the mages before the paralysis fades. A squad of 3 rushes forward with determination, shield raised in front, ready to strike as they charge their lone cloaked opponent. The cloaked figure stands calmly in their path, confident and unshaken, mocking their assumption that they'd be easy prey without a tank to defend them. Suddenly, the figure activates a powerful skill, splendid authority, surrounding themselves in a glowing aura, signaling the start of a fierce counterattack. The cloaked figure unleashes Limit Break, their body radiating raw energy as sparks and heat ripple outward in a dramatic burst. A series of powerful system notifications confirm multiple advanced abilities being activated in sequence, stacking buffs and enhancing stats. The ground ignites as blazing fireballs orbit around the figure, now fully charged and exuding overwhelming magical pressure. One enemy sneers, mocking the continued use of Fireball, assuming it to be ineffective against his defensive skills and shield. Confident in his defense, the enemy dismisses the attack, believing his shield to render any brute force magic completely useless. A massive inferno crashes down, engulfing the enemies in a torrent of blazing fire, sending bodies flying in every direction. Amid the chaos, the cloaked figure calmly utters Fireball, revealing that the overwhelming destruction was caused by a single enhanced spell. The enemy leader screams in agony, utterly stunned as he realizes the impact isn't just strong, it bypassed his supposed 95% damage reduction. The cloaked man calmly promises to take a share of the treasure as he raises his hand in a casual farewell gesture. With a clenched fist and a single word, explosion, he unleashes a massive, fiery blast that detonates with overwhelming force. A silhouette walks away from the blazing aftermath, completely unfazed by the destruction behind him. Observing the distant battlefield, the white-haired man senses a shift in the atmosphere, suspecting that something significant has just happened. A sudden, massive explosion erupts in the direction of the summit, jolting everyone nearby and confirming his suspicions. Realizing the urgency, he immediately commands all personnel to abandon their current tasks and head to the summit without delay. The group continues moving through the snowy forest, navigating the terrain carefully while staying alert for threats. The main character cheerfully collects spoils from fallen enemies, marveling at how others seem to lose gear so easily. Despite their success, one member grows uneasy, worried that the repeated need to eliminate enemies could give away their position to others. She walks while explaining the limitations of using the black market, her expression calm but thoughtful, while the man with the shield listens without comment. She chuckles lightly, brushing off the seriousness with a casual ha-ha and averting her gaze. The armored man suggests she doesn't need to sell the item and that his brother can use it, showing generosity without hesitation. The hooded boy hands over her share with a wide grin, surprising her as she wasn't expecting anything. In her palm lies a shining item, the enhancement crystal, its system description highlighting its high value and rarity. Shocked, she questions if she's really allowed to have it, but he downplays the gesture, saying he has nothing worth enhancing anyway. She smiles brightly, saying it's better to give valuable gear to someone who already has good items, showing selflessness. He looks surprised but deeply moved when she calls him the party's ace, holding the item she just gave him. Overwhelmed, he starts yelling out exaggerated gratitude, declaring himself blessed by the gods. She claps to gather the group's attention, suggesting they wrap up the distribution of items and move on. The armored man reminds them that they need to reach the scouting area quickly, prompting the others to agree. As they begin moving forward, the hooded boy walks behind the others, his face turning serious as he spots something ahead. A man confidently walks into the chamber, stating that he's arrived with the proper identification for entry. A female subordinate informs her boss that she's confirmed the match through biometric scan. As the scan completes, it verifies the man's identity and access permissions in glowing digital text. The boss smirks and allows him to proceed, her expression cool and calculating as she gives silent approval. The hooded man reports that the bracelet of monkeys has been stolen, his face tense with fear. Sitting calmly on her throne, the woman demands clarification, her presence imposing in the red-lit chamber. He explains that although their units were strong enough to hunt field bosses, the monsters defended fiercely. Analysis reveals that the opponents triggered waves using special commands, overwhelming their forces. When asked about the fate of the remaining teams, the man solemnly confirms they were completely destroyed. Her glowing red eyes narrow as she processes the news, radiating quiet fury. She turns her back and remarks coldly about the failed recovery of the boss item. Analyzing the battle tactics, she notes the enemy used skills and misdirection to sabotage their forces. The man grovels on the floor, suggesting the culprit must be the same reckless psycho from before. With a heavy step, she orders his elimination next time together with the retrieval of the stolen bracelet. Her expression darkens with menace as she declares that they must bring back the enemy's head. Seated calmly in a modern lounge, he considers holding on to the boss items temporarily instead of selling. His companion protests, noting they could use them to upgrade gear, but he insists it's to avoid being traced. She realizes he allowed his name to be exposed strategically, leading to a mix of annoyance and admiration. She reassures him that despite shifting strategies, she's not giving up on hunting, calming his worries. As she confirms his level has reached 20, she begins explaining how field levels are structured in tiers. A chart appears showing the level breakdown per field grade, establishing clear parameters for rewards. She poses a tricky question: what's the highest level at which one can still earn rewards in F-grade fields? Her follow-up catches him off guard. How many F-grade bosses has he defeated so far? He begins reviewing his kills by grade, starting with D-grade bosses like the Spider Queen and Lizard King. For E-grade, he confidently recalls taking down the massive mountain python. He lists several F-grade bosses, including Black Bear, Tidal Flat Crab, and Burrowing Mole. However, he notes that the bird like Cain doesn't count, as it was part of a special field. Realization dawns there's still one F-grade boss short, causing him to panic. She explains that once someone surpasses a field's eligible level, they lose access to its rewards, so timing is crucial. A digital map highlights several boss fields as she instructs him to raid less popular zones to stay under the radar. With determination, she suggests they sweep through every remaining E-grade boss while they still can. A powerful explosion erupts across the desert terrain, sending waves of dust and debris flying with intense force. A massive roar shakes the battlefield as a towering stone creature rises from the impact, its limbs thick with armor like rock. The system interface flashes, confirming the field boss's name and threat level as the monster glares forward, ready for battle. Surrounded by flames, the main character stands confidently in the aftermath of battle, dwarfed by the towering rock formations around him. A notification flashes midair confirming the boss defeat and loot acquisition, marking a successful victory. With a stretch and a deep breath, he celebrates the win, dust and wind swirling around his figure as tension fades. His companions watch in awe, while he cheerfully reveals that the fight only took 5 minutes and 10 seconds, smiling with playful pride. She excitedly congratulates him on collecting half a company's worth of E-grade souls and suggests throwing a party, leaping onto his back with joy. Laughing, he waves off the idea of a party, internally reflecting on how powerful the bracelet of Blancha has become. He considers whether the elemental resonance bonus is truly what's amplifying his strength, deciding to inspect the bracelet's current stats. His system displays a detailed breakdown of the bracelet's enhancements, showing significant boosts in attributes due to accumulated bonuses. Shocked, he realizes each item option is contributing to a 5-point increase in all stats, leaving even his teammate puzzled by his astonishment. Laughing confidently, he imagines himself surpassing Minhyun Ali if his growth continues at this pace, fueling his ambition even more. The group notices mobs appearing in another area and quickly shifts focus, deciding to farm them while speculating about future event rewards. Meanwhile, a mysterious man engages in a magical summoning ritual, surrounded by glowing energies and a powerful mystical circle. A beautiful aquatic figure, likely a summoned spirit or deity, emerges with elegance, opening her eyes as magical energy radiates around her. As he approaches a floating notification, a new system quest appears detailing objectives and benefits tied to completing high-value monster hunts. A follow-up alert confirms an exclusive main quest has been activated, offering substantial rewards and stat bonuses. He marvels at the timing of the quest, noting how perfectly it aligns with his progression. Curious, his companion asks if he received a skill or enhancement, and he explains it's a quest that significantly boosts his stats. Surprised by the generous reward amount, he beams with excitement, realizing this main quest offers nearly $1 million in value. While reviewing details on his phone, he wonders where the newly registered 6th grade special field originated from. He realizes it's over 3 hours away by flight and starts researching the region's weather conditions. Shocked by the result, he stares at his phone, visibly disturbed by the next bit of information. The screen confirms the forecast, -40 degrees Celsius, a brutal climate to traverse.